Scott Siegefus, who's with the Community Affairs branch of the Sheriff's Department. Also, Jason Presley and Steve Binks, who are all three of the and I will turn this over to them and let them proceed.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
You want to start?
You start.
No, you can't.
As we all fight over who's going to start. You know, it's kind of odd. I got a microphone here and here. I don't know which one to talk into. My name is Steve Banks. I'm a sergeant with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department. Just to give you an idea of, I know I don't look official, but this is actually my attire, what I wear to work because of my responsibilities as well. I have been in law enforcement for 30 years. I was on the SWAT team for 19. I'm an instructor in many disciplines. As far as on the job, I've been in detentions, I've been patrol. The funnest job by far was fugitive investigations, where I got to just hunt people down. That was the funnest part of the job. And now I'm a sergeant. Actually, I did narcotics for 2 years. And now I'm a sergeant in charge of the Special Investigations Unit, which does special investigations as it designs, and also vice and some other special services as well. And executive protection. Obviously now we're in the middle of a political season, so we get a lot of visitors. I don't know how it's going to end up being for the next time period, but we'll see how things play out. I've also been the lead instructor for the active shooter program ever since Columbine. After Columbine, I kind of created the program. So I've taught law enforcement for quite a few years. And just recently I broke into the field of teaching, or kind of helping out in the civilian side of it. Obviously, I think that whatever we choose to do, or however we choose to do it, it's not just the cops that are responding to the scene that solve the problem, but if we can figure out a way on the inside before the cops actually get there, how we can better save lives from that point, I think there's value in that, and that's why I'm here as well. So I won't talk to you like cops, I promise. Okay? But there is some value to this, and I think it's outstanding that your community has brought this into you. And you'll see in I'll give you a chance to answer questions if you have any of them. I'm a little hard of hearing, so you might have to speak up. So
everybody else in
okay. Well, I'm at home. I feel comfortable here. Maybe that's why Scott asked me to do this one, but I'm going to talk to him about that later. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, but again, I'm a little hard at hearing. And I don't know if you guys know Scott as well, and I'll let him introduce himself, but he's your connection to the community.
Hello. I was here, about a month ago?
Yeah.
Longer than that? I don't know, time flies when you're having fun. So again, my name is Scott Siegefus with the Sheriff's Office as well. And I work in the Community Resource Unit, Community Affairs, that's fine. I've done a little bit of everything. I've been there 21 years. So rather than bore you with all the details, but for the last 5 years I've been in the Community Resource Unit. So we go out in the community and we try to solve problems that are occurring in the community. And a lot of it over the last few years has been dealing with the active threat events that occur nationwide. I'm sure you watch the news and you know what's going on. So a big part of my job is to train civilians on how to survive an active threat. And Sergeant Steve Binks here is a great resource and helps us in the community to do this. Because ultimately, if you guys are safe, that helps us do our job, which is deal with the bad guys. So not just active threat, but in everyday life. So your homes, if your homes are secure, if you're safe out on the road, in the stores, and that sort of thing, we can focus on just dealing with bad guys, because that's our job. All right, so that you guys can go out and play golf or whatever. Okay. But that's our number one. So we want to make sure that the quality of life issues in our community are taken care of. We want to make sure we have a safe environment for our citizens. And we live in our communities, so we want to make sure that our families are safe as well. So that's our big concern, and that's my main job within the community resource unit. So without further ado, I'll let Jason give his spiel.
My name is Jason Presley. I've been with the Sheriff's Office going on almost 13 years now. Started out in jail, loved it. That's why I got out.
We helped you.
Not as I actually worked in a course for a little bit, went out on patrol, and for the past almost 9 years I've been a school resource officer up at Eagle Crest High School. So I've been there quite a few years, starting this month. Yeah, Monday.
Next month.
Actually coming in, working with Scott Community Resources. So it's kind of why I'm here.
I need help.
He needs help. I need to learn. So anyway, thanks for having me. I love your golf course. I played it numerous times. Anyway, thank you.
All right.
Okay. You guys can hear me if I don't stand behind the podium, right? I mean, if you can't, please say so. I get it because I spend most of my time in the front 2 rows. I don't sit in the back, and it's amazing how cops they always like to start in the back of the room when they sit down, and nobody ever sits in the front, so I'm alone a lot. But if you can't hear me, please do say so.
You can take that microphone out if you need it.
Oh, I feel like a movie star. Yeah. If you can't hear me, please say so. How many retired law enforcement in here? There any? Good. Okay, so I got some company, and I can't wait to retire so I can spend my time on the golf course, even though I don't play golf. But don't hold it against me, okay? Obviously, we're here to talk about responding to the active threat. Now, you'll hear in the news and everything else, it'll be referred to as active threat, active shooter, active killer. And the one thing I want to get across is that no matter what that second word is, the first word is active. Obviously, to be somebody committing that type of crime, and we'll talk about the definition, but that first word is critical. It's active. No matter what they change the second one to, it means the same thing. This first little video will show you, and this is a video from one of the parents at Sandy Hook. And obviously we heard a lot about that at Sandy Hook, obviously because of the terrible tragedy of all the young children that were killed. But just to give you an idea and a thought, something to start that process, something to think about as we go into the presentation. My audiovisual guy, Scott, he's going to...
We have an obligation to our children to do this for them. It's going to happen again. It is going to happen again. And every time, it's somebody else's school, it's somebody else's town, it's somebody else's community, until one day you wake up and it's not.
Now, obviously, the tragedy of that, even when I started teaching the program, the one theme is it's not going to happen here. We don't need to prepare for it. We don't need to train for it because it won't happen here. Obviously, in Colorado, that hasn't been the case. And as we've seen out over the years, they have obviously increased. And now we're looking at it at a different level from not necessarily a solo attacker, but maybe a terrorist attack or multiple attackers or even multiple locations. So I hope it doesn't happen, but that's what we're looking at now. So obviously, while we're here, you guys are preparing and planning. The more we prepare, the more we talk about, the more we discuss, even though it's something it's not pleasant to talk about, but if we talk about it in any shape or form, it'll save us time when it actually happens. Because when it happens, the faster you are to respond to it, the more likely you're going to survive. Now, this class, I don't want you to misunderstand any part of it. I'm not guaranteeing survival. I'm just giving you the tools and the ideas to help you survive should you find yourself in this kind of situation. Reduce the confusion and fear. We all know that if something panics us or we see a spider on the ground or a mouse running through the kitchen, we panic. That moment we freeze and we don't do anything, we're losing time. And obviously in this kind of situation, we can't afford to lose that time. And ultimately, it's about saving the lives. If I can teach more cops how to get there faster and how to tactically survive better, more people are going to survive. But if you guys take it seriously and practice and think and talk about and do these things, you're going to survive as well. And ultimately, we're going to have a lot more survivors. And you'll see in the video that we talk about, there are some people obviously we can't save. But for the moral majority, we can save a lot of people. So the definition for an active threat, okay? The suspect who is actively, again I pointed out, engaging in causing death and great bodily injury. And one of the things I teach a lot of the guys, it's continuously causing mass murder ultimately. Their objective is to get as many people as they possibly can. Why? Because the more you kill, the more press you get. The more soft targets you hit, the more press you get. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, but what's the biggest target? I would venture to say the majority of those people in this room would say that it's schools. That's all we hear about. We hear about the schools and those kind of things when we think about the major death, but really that's not the case. The case is commerce, your workplace. When we talk about workplace violence, we all heard about it many moons ago about going postal. After Columbine, it was going Columbine. But it's that workplace violence that takes more lives in this kind of situation than those schools, than the colleges. Education, anywhere from kindergarten to college, okay? Outdoor events, venues, that kind of stuff. And other might be, I'm not sure what they define other as, okay? You're the inside, outside, but ultimately it's a big event. I mean, there's usually a lot of people there and a lot of targets. Again, I talked about the more they kill, the more the press they get, I guess.
Theaters and churches.
I'm sorry?
Theaters and churches.
Theaters and church, absolutely. And we taught this to the church security people. They all came in and they do a symposium or whatever, I guess every year, and we talked about the active shooter and placing security guards in the churches. You know, to me that's a shocker because I still go to church and quite honestly I don't carry my gun to church. But you know, you think about a lot of these things in those vulnerable places. Ultimately, we are vulnerable in a church just because of the atmosphere, because of the place. We go to it for peace. We don't go to it for pain. But you think there's a lot of people that go to church to relieve some of that pain.
Which is, if I may, in Japan, was it Japan? Just happened an attack on a church there where they stabbed. Was it France or Japan?
They beheaded a regular 85-year-old.
Well, they stabbed the priest, right? I thought that was Japan here recently. But anyway, you understand that it can happen anywhere. And just like in church, you have your back towards the door.
Yep.
So you don't know what's coming in. So anyway.
So you are vulnerable in those kind of environments. And again, even if it's in the theater setting, or it's in a sports setting where you're going to watch your team play and you're not thinking about those kind of things, but they are vulnerable places and we refer to them as soft targets. Now, we talk about known or unknown. Obviously that takes for granted those people that go post or whatever because they are your employees, the people you work next to that you really didn't think, or that everybody says, well, he was a nice guy, right? But ultimately, 55% of the time you're going to know that person in that environment. Now places like, obviously, homes in the theater you didn't know. Platte Canyon at the school, even though it wasn't an active shooter situation, the guy himself, he was not known to the students and everybody else in the school, even though he'd visited it. Okay? And we talk about it, crime prevention, and Scott may talk about it. There's a crime triangle. There is a connection between the person, the place, and the business and that's going on, that typically they have something in there. They know something of it. There's always that connection. But ultimately what we see from that, like Platte Canyon and other places, is it can happen anywhere. And that's a tragedy. So, time. The average time for any kind of active threat is 12 minutes. Now, I've heard it 11 minutes as well, but it's still right around 12 minutes. I talk about Virginia Tech. From 8 to 11 minutes, 171 rounds fired and 30 people died. Arapahoe High School was 86 seconds. So when you think about that time frame, really, it's very fast. But if you're in it, it seems like forever. 3 minutes of law enforcement response, that's a national average. 7 minutes for the fire guys. Of course, when we tell them that, they say, no, we faster than that. So, you know, and everybody likes the firemen, so they don't challenge the firemen, right? But again, the time frame is faster, and we have seen the FBI did a study from 2000 to 2013 of 160 active threat incidents. Now, for the FBI to classify it as a mass killing, which they do, which is part of that definition, obviously, for an active threat, they have to have 3 or more dead people. So that classification or that theory based on 160 of those instances, 51% of the time cops are arriving before it's over. But that number has increased. It's now up to 57, so we're obviously getting there a lot faster, and we understand that time frame. But for you guys, we're only talking a few minutes. If we think about it, all I have to do is do something for 3 minutes. Now, you've already sat through this longer than 3 minutes, and I still got some of your attention. So it's not a long time, but obviously when things are going on and are going bad, it gets much longer. But really, all you got to do is find something to do for 3 minutes. Doesn't seem like a long time now.
And Steve, that 13, so the 13 seconds you saw up there, every 13 seconds in an active threat event, someone is killed or wounded. Every 13 seconds. That 3-minute time frame. Okay? It comes, what is, who's good at math? We're cops, so we don't do math.
4 1/4 people per minute.
Yeah, it's like 13 people or something like that. I don't know what it is, every 3 minutes. So just remember, every 13 seconds in an active threat event, someone is killed or wounded. So you can see where seconds matter. Okay, so you start looking at what happened over in France, what's happened over in Germany. Okay, 13 seconds, not a lot of time.
The suspect knows he has limited time, right? He's in there to get in a hurry, he knows the cops are coming. He may have even added on to his time, or the hope to add on his time, by chaining doors, by blocking back doors with cars and going in the front so people can't get out the back. I mean, doing those kind of time, those things to increase their odds and improve their time. But really, they have limited time. Most of them don't have the planning. They didn't plan on getting out. They planned on dining in. Holmes didn't plan on getting out. Holmes planned on getting more ammo and then going back in. He just didn't carry enough with him. Our benefit, not his, right? So they planned for that limited time. And again, mass murder, they want to commit as many murders as they possibly can in a short period of time. And again, our objective is to get in there and stop him as soon as possible so we can limit the count. And that's where you guys come in. Once you do that, hopefully after you listen today, and one of the things that we do as a part of the class is a practical portion of the class where we talk about the hiding and the barricading and the fighting back. So it's truly a benefit there. But we won't obviously get to that today.
I do have pictures.
Oh, got pictures.
I got pictures.
Awesome. So when we talk about with resistance, and that's obviously the resistance can be the law enforcement, it can be the people in the event themselves. Oftentimes, many of them have been stopped by teachers. Phoenix, Arizona, the teacher negotiated herself and the class out of it. Again, I don't know if that would have been a hostage situation, but more of not an active threat, but more of a hostage situation. But there's been many schools or other places where the teachers have intervened and negotiated. Football players tackled a kid in the hallway. those kind of things. But that intervention part, and then stop by law enforcement. But those are the ways they happen. And like I said earlier, it's not just about to get the cops there earlier to break it up, but it's about you guys on the inside, those that are there when it truly, really first happens, whether it's that you see him coming and you do something about it, right? Or when he's inside and he's reloading, you do something about it. Or you see him coming and you tell everybody and everybody goes out the back door, right? More people can survive. And that's really what this is all about. So your response. And obviously it breaks it down to three basic areas. Run, hide, and fight. And we all know what that means. I mean, we're old enough in here to know what those mean. But again, is there a right way to run? Yeah, right. Is there a right way to hide and a right way to fight? There is. And some of the pictures you'll see of the fire guys in there, they had to learn, right? So it's not as easy as it sounds. But ultimately, the one thing we have to remember that it doesn't have to be in that order. I'm not asking you if you can't run, you do nothing, right? You do one of those. Do something to actually get yourself out of it and safely survive it. So the whole theory is doing something. Back to that fear factor. If you haven't planned about it, if you haven't talked about it, if you haven't discussed it, you haven't done it over the water, you haven't done it while you're hitting the ball down the lane or whatever, you're going to freeze up because you're not sure what you're going to do. So that's why this is important, just to kind of get that click going. And they say that if you do every 30 days, if you do 15 minutes of thought, it'll help you to prevent that freezing, right? 15 minutes. And I'm not talking all at once either. Don't get me wrong. 15 minutes throughout that, you have 5 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 3 minutes here, whether it's over coffee, sitting with your wife, sitting with your kids, sitting with your grandkids, whatever it might be. Now it's a shame that we gotta talk to our young kids about these problems, but don't they do fire drills in schools? Don't they do tornado drills in schools? Many years ago they were doing drive-by shooting drills in schools, right? How many kids have been killed because of fire? And anybody think of one?
In the last 50 years.
You can you? Right? But how often do we do fire drills in schools? How often do they do them? How often do we do them in a place of business? Do we do fire drills? Well, we got policies, we got mandates, we got all that kind of stuff that we have to do them every month, right? Or we have to create this cool little booklet or something else, so if something bad goes happen, we can grab that booklet off the wall and flip through the pages to see what we're supposed to do, right? But we talk about it. We discuss those things. So now you just got to toss in the active threat stuff. What if somebody walks in here with a gun? Even now. Where are my exits? Where can I go? What's the environment? He comes in the front door. Is there a way out the back door? Behind the curtain? Where do those doors go? I mean, just being aware of your surroundings. Now, obviously, as a cop for a long time, my level of, if you want to call it paranoia, and as the retired guys understand, you know, no matter where we go or what we do, we're always looking for those things. I went through the Air Marshal School. When you talk about on a plane, even when you're boarding the plane, pick out people that are in the plane or on the plane that will be your support, right? Your military guys, your cop-looking guys, your big husky meat eaters. For those kind of, look for those guys that would be a support for you if something went bad, so you could count on them. I'm not asking you to be paranoid. I'm just asking you to consider those options. Think about, where do I go if somebody comes here? What do I do with my cup of coffee if somebody comes in? Now, I don't want you to throw wine or nothing, okay? But if he comes in, what am I going to do with that? Now, I keep saying he, right? Who is that active shooter? He's a white male, anywhere from 26 to, I believe, 47. And now they're getting older, right? Thank God I'm out of that age range, you know. I guess I'm saying now. But that's the typical. But girls go crazy too, right? There's still been some females involved. We've seen a couple in the last couple years, right? So it's everybody. It can be everybody, but ultimately it's that white male between those age ranges. But no matter what I tell you or to talk about, you're going to benefit by doing something instead of nothing, right? Just don't freeze. Talk about it so you can discuss it, so you can react to it without thinking about it. Because we're only talking about 3 minutes, right? We hope. This is a video created by Texas University, and they have a program called Alert, and they've done it for the law enforcement side and they've done it for the civilian side. One of the two bigger groups, and the other group is Alice, that actually teaches it on a civilian-based level, more civilian than law enforcement. But this video was done by them, and quite honestly, the ones I've seen and everything else, I find this to be more helpful than anything, because when we learn things, obviously there's a visual learning, there's a practical learning and everything else. Even if you can't do the practical, it's good to see somebody else doing it, right? Kind of gives you ideas and thoughts and patterns, but this is the better one that I've seen. It only lasts for a few minutes, so get your popcorn and get comfortable.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference: run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
And I'd like to just kind of highlight a few of those and we talk about them. When we talk about running, obviously, we're running away from them, right? I mean, but what's the first thing? It's that sound of the shot, right? It's the running and the screaming, and where is that coming from? In a lot of the situations, a lot of the people will respond and say, you know, it sounded like a firecracker. I want you to think for a minute, even as we sit in this building here, how many times has there ever been somebody that, even for practical joke purposes, let off a firecracker in this building? Has anybody ever heard of one? No. The odds are not. Even if you overreact, again, we're talking seconds, right? We're talking minutes. Even if somebody comes into the front of this area, that first attention and focus is on that front area. So you have minutes, right? Seconds to really think about how you're going to respond to it. But ultimately now, think about it now in the comfortable environment. You haven't heard a firecracker in this building. Why should you be confused about it? Right? It's that confusion that creates the delay. Right? Has there ever been a fire in this building? Smoke. Got a kitchen in here, right? Anybody ever seen one of those? Fire or smoke in this building? No? I mean, you see those kind of things. Obviously, you need to put attention towards that. But if you hear the gunshots or what you believe to be firecrackers and see smoke, well, two and two together, I'm not going that way, I'm going this way. And the thing is when I came in here, I realized that door is here. And I know where that door goes because I've been in here before, right? I know that I can go that way to get out of the building. If he's coming this way, if I go that way, my chances are better. I can survive, right? I don't provide him another target, but I also grab my friends and my family and people on the way out to get them as well out of here. So when you think about that run, think about that response, think about what you're running from or what you're hearing. It's not always just that guy standing in front of somebody else with a gun, right? It might be that gunshot or what you believe to be a firecracker or people screaming and yelling, right? Obviously our first instinct is to run towards them to offer them help, but put those together and decide what maybe your best response is. Okay, so think about that run. Think about when you come into a place where I can go if I needed to in a hurry. Right? Think about those places before they happen. Hide. If I'm a bad guy and I walk in front of that door and I don't see anybody in here, and my objective is to kill as many people as possible, am I coming in this room? Right? No, I'm not. So if you hide in the middle of this room behind a chair, what's your odds of being seen? Probably pretty good, right? Right? So find a place where you can't be seen, up against the wall, up against the door, right? In another room. I don't care if it's behind the curtains, right? Hopefully you won't look down to see your toes, right? But find that where you can't be seen. And remember, if you're seen and there's more people in the room, you just brought him into a room with more people because you failed to hide properly. So think about that before you come into the room. Think about what you're doing where you can hide. Obviously in an open area like this, it doesn't offer a whole lot. But I bet you I can still get a lot of people behind the curtain on that stage that I wouldn't be seated from the doorway. Even in schools, they talk about lockdowns and they practice it, right? They lock the doors. They tell them to blind the windows on the doors and to get up against the wall where you can't be seen if somebody peeked in. Are there locks on this door, on these doors? Any of these doors?
Yeah.
Okay. Which side are they locked for? Are they always locked, or is it during the business time? I mean, you benefit from that if you knew that that doorway had a lock on it. Or if you know that that storage closet in the back, the AV room, has a lock on it. That might be the place to go, right? But you got to turn the lights off and get down. But remember how much time we're talking. Not a lot of time. And even when we do these practice scenarios and everything else, it's not a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time, so think about it before it happens. Okay? What about the fight part of it? Do we benefit in a fight in numbers? Yes. We do, don't we? I mean, the more of us that are together, our odds improve. So do it on the buddy system. If one is willing to fight, one picks up the chair, please somebody else pick up a chair. Right? Pick up a coffee. Think about what weapons you have available to you in the room. A lot of people carry pocket knives now. You can use them, bad boys, right? If you have to save your life or to save your wife's life, right? Hot cup of coffee. Anybody ever had a hot cup of coffee thrown in their face? Can you imagine trying to shoot somebody while somebody's throwing a hot cup of coffee in your face? Now, I've been a cop for a long time, and even when we practice, and all the practice I've done after 19 years on the SWAT team, and now they made me the negotiation sergeant, but I can't hear. So, but we don't practice having things thrown at us to be accurate. And cops, even in the heat of the moment, they have a 70% accuracy. Well, what improves your chances of survival based on an experienced shooter is movement, right? If we move, we're less likely to be hit. So even if he comes in here with a gun, if you're moving, your chances of surviving are better. If you're behind something that can absorb the round, you improve your chances of surviving. But ultimately, if we do nothing and freeze, we become a target. But even those that practice with a 70% accuracy, under extreme circumstances, with distractions, with all kind of things to deal with, they're typically not getting that kind of training. So we're hoping their accuracy is less. But even if we think about historically, based on all the guys that have done it, they've done training. They've actually prepared for these things. Harrison Klebold prepared for it. Virginia Tech, he prepared for it. How did he prepare for it? He walked down the range and shot targets laying down, or in his mind, sitting down. Right? They're not moving. So if you move, you improve your chances of surviving. But when I talk about that fighting, do it in groups. Get together and attack him. But it's not just that one person. So there's more to just running and hiding and fighting. You got to think about a lot of things. And that's that 15 minutes every 30 days that helps you think about those things, that you can do them much faster when it actually happens. And I keep beating that up, but I mean, quite honestly, unfortunately, we have to do these things so that we can improve our times, right? So ultimately, from the cop's perspective, our first objective, no matter what, is to stop the killing. It's always been that way. I mean, when I started teaching this, even before Columbine, they taught it to the SWAT teams. And most of the tactics themselves are military formations. Now, we obviously have a different objective than the military does. We're accountable a lot more than they are. So we have to be a lot more critical of that. But they're military formations. When we realized the time frame was so critical that everybody had to be taught it. But the hardest thing in the beginning of teaching this was to teach the cops to walk by those that were injured and not stopping and saying, "Can I help you? Are you okay?" Putting pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding was actually to get them to bypass those people and actually hunt people down and go after them. They had to get past that mindset because, believe it or not, even back then, there was a true desire or a deep desire to help people. That's why we got into this business, was to help people in one form or another. Stop the dying, evacuate the area, get everybody out. And the process we find that is more difficult now is these active shooter situations, despite their 12 minutes of that national average from start to finish, it took us hours and hours to control the problem. So that's our next challenge. But in addition to that is getting the paramedics in faster. Is any retired fireman in here? You couldn't say it. Come on, everybody likes you. Okay. But remember the fireman's policy, they don't carry ballistic vests, they don't carry helmets, and they don't carry guns. In their policy, it was standard for them that they could not go into a hot zone. Well, until the cops declared it a cold zone, they weren't coming in. Sandy Hook, they cleared the building 4 times before they sent paramedics in there. I can't tell you, we could talk about the rest of them, but that's one specifically that I read. But now our objective is to get the paramedics in to that warm zone as fast as we possibly can. And the paramedics now have ballistic vests, they now have helmets. Now, most of their engines and everything else, they have 5 vests and 5 helmets. Well, Bubba and Pee Wee, they got to fight for their equipment, right? Because it's not fit for them, you know, individually. But they have that protection. They now have the training. We've done it from, well, we started in Arapahoe County probably 4 years ago. Everybody else picked it up later, and you know, I'm kind of proud of that. But they picked it up later. So, but we're teaching it a lot to Arapahoe County, Aurora, everybody else is getting that. And now we have symposiums once a year that are done where we include the paramedics and everything else. So it's the integration. So if you think about it, ultimately, if you on the inside do the best you possibly can to survive, the cops that are coming in do the best that they possibly can survive, and the paramedics are coming in as soon as they possibly can to help survive, how many more lives are we going to save? I think ultimately we're going to save a lot more lives. Now, as you saw in the video itself, those first initial ones that you didn't expect it, that nobody saw him coming in from the outside, didn't see those things, we can't do a lot for those people. But everybody else we can certainly do something about, I think. And ultimately we're going to save more lives.
I want to do something right now. So, come on up. She was in one of our citizens academies, so I can pick up. Come on. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. How would you get out of here without going out the door you came in? Where are the exits? Point. Good. Good! Fantastic, she passed. That's because she's one of our Citizens Academy graduates. Okay? How many came in this room and automatically looked for the exits? Liars. Lying. I know you are. You're like, no, there was a few. Okay? Less than half. Okay? How many go to a Chili's or what's the grill that's close by? Parkway Grill. Parkway Grill. Or Holy Cannoli. So, and you go in there, and first thing you do is you look and go, where are the exits? Okay, I hope you do. Okay? Firefighter friend works for our, he works part-time in our department because he's bored. Okay, he only work like 12 days a month. Yeah. If you don't want to work, become a firefighter.
Remember, we're on tape though, Scott.
I'm only kidding. His wife.
He's recording that.
Oh.
Okay.
His wife is a demonstrator for us. Okay. He volunteers some of his time to come in and help us out with some things. So he's a great guy. Glenn Giordano is his name. He works for the Cunningham Fire Department. But anytime he goes to a restaurant, first thing he does is find out where the exits are. Okay? Because in the event of a fire, of a bomb, of a truck driving through some, whatever it is, everybody is going to try to cram out those doors right there. And 80 people aren't going to fit through those doors right there. Okay? So the first thing you should be doing when you're having dinner, and if you're with your children, grandchildren, whomever, is quick play a little game. Quick without looking, where are the exits? Put down Pokemon. Okay? And I'm talking to the parents. If you know what Pokemon is, if you don't, good. Put down the cell phones and pay attention. Okay? Look for those exits. If you're at the airport, look for those exits. If you're at a hotel, look for the exits. I had a friend of mine, another friend of mine who's a firefighter, will not, in a hotel, will not go any higher than the 4th floor. Because the ladder don't reach that high. Oh, good thinking. Okay? And then, when he got his room, he made sure that he knew where the exits are. He opened the door, and there was smoke everywhere. He would automatically know if he's down crawling which way to go to get to the exit. Smart. And it took 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Okay? We're talking about doing the same thing. Okay? When you sit in church and your back's towards the door, where are the other exits? Because everybody else is going to go out that way. Maybe you don't want to go out that way. Okay? And it's sad we have to talk about this, but they already do it in schools. Our kids are growing up, they're going to have to. Because who wants to go to France right now? Who wants to go to Germany, Belgium, the Middle East, Africa? The world is a different place. And this is just, we've done it with fires, right? We had to, everybody knows what we do during a fire. We stand up, we get in line, we walk, and we go out, we smoke out in the parking. But you've done it since you were 5 years old. Now we have to start doing this. And I'll tell you, everybody thinks it's scary. Oh, my kids, they're scared. Did they watch Batman versus Superman? Did they watch Captain America? There's more death and destruction in those movies than training. Somebody said, ooh, this movie's scary. Did you watch Saving Private Ryan? Was that scary? Okay? Some of the movies out there, this is the real world. This is the world we live in.
The video games.
The video games. How many try to make a left turn out of this parking lot? That's scary. Okay? That's scary. All right? I'm a reality type of guy. Okay? Which I don't watch reality TV because that's not reality. But think about those things. Okay? Think about those things. We're not talking about just church and schools and businesses. We're talking about being at the mall. Germany, that guy went out and started shooting people at the mall. Okay, how many go to the mall? How many people go to the grocery store? Could it happen at the grocery store? Do you know where the exits are at a grocery store? Do you? No. Has anybody? The front door. I don't know. Where do you get the milk? Usually you can get out there because that's the back stop. A can of soup at somebody. And everybody can do it. I don't care if you're 80 years old or 8 years old. All it takes is for you to throw, Steve mentioned throwing hot coffee at somebody. You throw your coffee, just make sure it's not Starbucks because that's like $5. But you throw your coffee, go to McDonald's, whatever. Throw your coffee, the guy's going to go this, he's just going to do it because that's how we are. He does this, he gives you time to get out of the way. That's all it takes. That's what we're talking about. Okay? I talk about 13 seconds, right? Every 13 seconds, you throw a cup of coffee, if you throw a chair, if you throw a book, you're in church, you throw your Bible at somebody. That may be just enough time for somebody to take action or for you to get out. Whatever you decide to do. Right? So when people say, "Ooh, this is too scary," really? Really? Are you kidding me? And you drive on the roadways. More people are killed driving on the roadways these days. Okay? Driving a car's not scary. I don't know. Anybody have any questions?
You mentioned everybody in here is going to go out those doors, but isn't that where the bad guy's going to be coming in?
Yeah, so if the bad guy comes in, and that's the only way you know how to get out of here, you're putting yourself in the line of fire. So we all know, okay, that exit sign's here. There's probably, these doors go out. I saw some areas back there, okay? If you can't get out, I mean, if they were locked and we can't get out of here, what's our other option? Hide?
Take a chair.
Fight. Okay? And again, any order. So Bob might say, I'm taking this guy out. I'm not running. Okay? One of you may say, get the heck out of here. And that's okay. You got to understand that's okay. Whatever you decide to do is okay. We just don't want people becoming victims. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
13 seconds. If you didn't have that door, something would be done.
Well, if you sat here and did nothing,
Well, no, I'm saying our first.
well, right.
We're
So here's the
listening
thing.
to you when he comes
If you
in.
did nothing, all of you could be gone.
No, but I'm saying in the first 13 seconds.
First, yeah. But if you guys took action and are moving, it's a lot harder to hit a moving target, as Steve said. Okay? But if you just sit here and if you do nothing, not very good. Your chances are zilch. If you do something, whether it's run, hide, or fight, any one of those.
We're listening to you,
Yeah.
and a man comes in or a person comes in and starts shooting. He still shoots and kill probably somebody.
Absolutely.
Before we get to run.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, certainly we can't save everybody. Scott.
That's a lot.
Well, yeah, but what I would hope everybody would do if they get up, they do somebody here would throw a chair at them or whatever. Okay?
The thing is that there's so much of a natural tendency when you're faced with a situation like that to just freeze up. You don't know what to do.
That's
panic
why
and you freeze.
That's
And you
why
do nothing.
training, right? We all know if the fire alarm went off right now, we would know what to do without even thinking. Because we've done it since we were this high, right? We want this to be the same, where you automatically, if something chaotic happens, and I don't want to say shooting always, could be somebody, I don't know, whatever. Takes
With a golf club.
comes in here and starts whacking people. Okay, that can kill somebody. You can kill somebody with a pencil. All right? You can. So if that happens, you need to know what to do. Without even...
Number of stabbing attacks now in
Yeah.
Europe. And
Well, it's
Germany
happened
has
here.
real tight gun controls. Now they're getting people stabbed to death. What was it, something like
Happened here.
11
High school
people
in
stabbed?
Pennsylvania. Happened at a community college in Texas. Okay? It happens. We had the church stabbing. Okay? It happens. Someone else had a...
Yeah, Scott, I just wanted to mention, for those that don't know, there is an exit door. Now, it's not easy to get to because you obviously get
Oh, back
up
over
on the
here?
stage, but there is an exit door out the back stage.
And hopefully, if you know where the exit is, you're grabbing somebody to go with you because they may be going, I don't know what to do. Grab them and move them along. Okay? Yes, sir.
What kind of thoughts do you have about concealed carry these days?
Concealed carry? I think it's fine. Just as so long as you practice and you know how to use it. Okay? I'm okay with that. And does that, he says, what's my thoughts on concealed carry? I think it's fine. But here's the thing. If you can, if a guy came in right now and started, whatever it is, shooting or whatever, and you got up, you may not be able to take him out because everybody's moving around. So a lot of people who carry, okay, especially a lot of cops, we got to think about, what are we doing? We're not wearing vests. If they come in with a rifle, we're already limited. If I have my family here, maybe it's just to get, I'm only getting, it's to get out of that situation. Just because you have a gun doesn't mean, I'm not saying we wouldn't, but doesn't mean you would go towards the threat. If you have the opportunity, absolutely. Absolutely. But it may be, hey, I have this and it's to get me and whoever I'm with out of that situation safely. Because if you shoot somebody and kill somebody else, an innocent person, or the round goes through the wall and kills somebody back there, you're liable.
You got
okay?
You became a murderer.
So I want people to think about, because do you train at moving targets? So just because you have a weapon doesn't mean that maybe you should be using it. I don't know. Every situation is different. And your skills may be better than her skills, and and so you may go towards the threat, she may not, and that's okay. That is okay. Sir.
In your training, Scott, as far as concealed carry, how do you differentiate the concealed carry person from the bad guy?
Well, so understand that when we come in and you're holding a gun,
You're in trouble.
you better know, you better put down the gun and do everything we say. We're going to handcuff you and treat you like a bad guy until we are sure that you're not the bad guy. Okay? But hopefully you're going, hey, okay. You know what I mean? You better do everything we tell you to do. We're not going to be nice about it. And then afterwards we'll go, sorry about that. Okay? But you may be a little bruised up. But that's okay.
I don't care because I couldn't hit anything. But that's
Yeah. But I just want you to understand. So if there's 15 people in here with concealed carries and something goes on and everybody draws their gun, that could be a bad day right there. All right?
Real bad.
You just gotta be careful. So some of you have a concealed carry, but maybe you don't carry all the time, and that's okay. That's your choice. Depends on how much you practice. Depends on how confident you are with your abilities. Anybody can pull a trigger on a gun. A 2-year-old can. Okay? But where does that round go? We have to be cognizant of where that round goes. Even us, if you guys were running around in here, I can't just start shooting because I'm accountable for every single round. The bad guy, they don't have to be. Okay? Please leave that there.
Yeah, you keep saying about, and quite rightly so, about, we don't want to scare our children, it's frightening for them, have to train them to do these things. But every generation has had its scary thing. And when we were kids, we were taught to hide under the desk because the bomb was coming.
Oh, yeah.
Atomic bombs, yeah, that was back in the nuclear
The
age.
generation before us had World War II.
Right.
And the bombs coming in. And this, unfortunately, is just the next generation and what they're having to learn to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's really sad that every other generation is coping
Yeah.
with it, and these kids will cope with it too.
Absolutely.
It will become normal, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, and you know what? We have more problems with the parents. So we've done training with little kids, preschool, kindergarten age kids. And on the first go around, they get it. They understand. They know what to do. No problems. And once the training's done, they go back to playing and doing whatever. It's the parents who freak out. Oh my God, you're gonna scare my child. My child's gonna be scared. But then they let them play Warcraft or whatever, or watch Batman versus Superman, whatever, right, on the movies, and that's okay. That's okay. But teaching them skills in life, which is unfortunate that we have to learn this, but every other country in the world has already dealt with this. We have to deal with it now. And if you bury your head in the sand, it is what it is. I want to show you some things real quick. So this is we had some fun with the fire department. They went through this course with our hands-on portion of it. Okay. So obviously we want to be able to, if there's something going on, you want to get away from it. As the video you heard, which you guys can, if you Google "Run, Hide, Fight," that video will come up and you can play it again because it's fantastic. It's up for an Academy Award, I think, or something. But if you're that bored and you want to watch it again, or if you want your spouse or somebody else to watch it, okay, it's fantastic. But obviously, we want to practice running away from the threat, okay? So if you can get out, do get out. All right? I mean, ultimately, that's pretty good. Now, unless, depends on what you want to do, run, hide, or fight. In any order, but we wanted to practice all of them. So here they are, running out the door, okay? Look at the firemen going in front of the women. Something like that, okay? I don't know. Cops we'd be holding the door, all right? So anyway, that's them leaving the building, trying to get out, all right? And Steve was our bad guy with blanks, and he's firing blanks in the building. So they had to hear, first they had to recognize that it was gunfire. They had to recognize then where it was coming from in the building and then get out. And that's what they did. So they chose this door and they're all coming out of the building. Okay? We did some hiding. Now this is not very good. I threw this in there because it was kind of funny. So she's hiding behind a chair. Again, probably not the best, okay? In here, if all we had was this room and nothing else, yeah, chair probably gonna do it. No. All right. We have a large man in here. I want to hide behind that person.
But even from that position, if you get up and throw the chair at him if he happens to come in, at least you're doing something.
So we had another one. I didn't get the picture. It was one of the firefighters hiding behind the flag, right? And he's holding the flag out here, as you can see, from his legs down. Okay, and it was kind of humorous, but I didn't put it in there. But anyway, so we're talking about hiding, and it's a room like this where there's not much there. A couple exits, chairs and tables. That's all that was in this room. Okay? So she's smiling because she knows. But yeah, so Steve comes in and oh, I see you, bang, 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 you're all dead. Okay? So what can we do to help that or to help their situation? What can they do? Okay? Well, Steve kind of mentioned that is you want to do, you can't just hide. Okay, we talk about hide plus barricade or you got to do something, okay? So in this room, there's lots of good stuff here. We got a desk, we got a podium, we got chairs, lots of chairs. We got pictures. We can barricade, we got a table back there. We can barricade the doors back there. If we knew the threat was coming in this building, we could shut those doors and we could barricade those doors. We could. And if we all work together, we can get that done very quickly. The first time these guys did it, it took them about, what I guess, 4 minutes. But then when Steve went out and fired some blanks, boom, 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 they had that door barricaded in about 20 seconds. So when you really put your mind to it, you can do it. So here they are. The fire guys are laying down on the floor with their feet, the door opened in. So their feet, laying down with their feet against the door. So now, as the bad guy, I'm trying to come in, I can't get it. So now if I shoot through the door, great. He's laying on the ground. The shots are not going to get him. Okay? There's a less chance of getting shot laying on the ground. We have another firefighter here putting a belt around the doorknob there. So he's going to put his belt, tie it around the doorknob, and get off to the side. If the door opens in, he's holding, so now all the bad guy can do is kind of open that door slightly. But with that belt, and he's holding it this way, not going to get in. And what we've seen, I think Steve mentioned it, is over the last, over 160 active threat events, they have not got into a room that they couldn't get into. They kept going. Because remember, we're coming, and they know we're coming. And they want to do as much harm and destruction as they possibly can. So if the room is locked or they can't get in there, they're not going to waste their time to get in there. They're moving on. Okay? So they're barricading the doors. There's another one. So there's the belt. You can kind of see it right there. And it gets down low off to the side. These guys have put their feet out the door. This guy, he's made that decision.
He's ready.
He comes through. I'm going to hit him with the chair. And we don't practice with chairs coming at us. Okay? Our normal reaction, like anything, is to do this. So if you got a gun, come up. You can't shoot very well when you're closing your eyes and put your hand in front of your face. It's almost impossible. Okay? So that's what they've decided to do. They're ready. That took them about 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay? Steve's the bad guy. He's outside the door in the hallway back there. Okay? Now, anybody know the little arms on the door? Right, so they close. You can put a belt, and you don't have to just use a belt. You could use a strap of some sort. You could use a jacket.
Okay.
What's that?
You could use
your belt would work.
tape. What's the
duct tape?
Duct tape.
Well, you could use whatever, but you put a belt up there, right? And you push it. So you push it over here. You tie it on there. Now the door arms won't open all the way. So now, not only does the bad guy have to try to force that open, okay, but now you're in there, right? No, they barricaded with the table, so they took the table like this, and they turned it up, and they blocked that door. There's another picture in here. Oh, I didn't put it in there. But anyway, so they blocked the door with the tables. There's a bunch of chairs, and then he did that. Okay? And so now, not only does the bad guy have to fight his way through all that, but then if he does get in, they're going to hit him with the chairs. Or it could be a purse, or a shoe. Anybody got high heels? Yeah, those are dangerous weapons. Or whatever it is. Okay? Whatever. Hot cup of coffee. A can of soup. Whatever. Okay? A pencil. A pair of scissors. A fire extinguisher. Yeah. Spray them and then hit them. Okay? So we talk about do something. We talk about first responders. If you're in that situation, you are the first responder. You're the first one there. We're not there yet. You're the first responder, not us. You have to do whatever you have to do to save your life, or your children, or your spouse, grandchildren, whatever. You do whatever it takes. Okay? And you violently resist.